Okay, status update number 2, the Chevelle, or as we lovingly refer to it as the Chevelle. And yes, this place is still a mess. So anyway, let me give you a quick background on this car and how I got it and all the craziness. So the car actually belonged to a gentleman that used to live across the street from a good friend of mine. He lived there for about, I think, 16 years and unfortunately got divorced and moved away. But they became very good friends because the guy I bought the car from was a big time car guy. And he, wow. Well, let's put it to you this way. If you own a Corvette or a Camaro or pretty much anything else from the Chevrolet line that had disc brakes, you probably owe him your life. He was a Chevrolet brake engineer and he worked for Chevrolet from 1959 and retired, I think, is in 2004. And he ended up moving here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area because one of his kids were here. In fact, his son still works for Chevrolet and drives C8s around test tracks. That's pretty cool, yeah. But anyway, he worked on the team that designed the four-wheel disc brake package for the 1964 Corvette. Yeah, I know. That's what I said too. That's the way he termed it to me. He goes, yeah, we didn't have it ready until 65. But he did, he worked on that. He worked on the 69 Camaro JL8 package and various different other packages. And I think the last brake package that he worked on was actually the C5 Corvette. So, and he didn't have good things to say about the C4 Corvette brakes either. It's kind of a funny conversation. So he worked for Chevrolet for so long. I spent hours talking to him about some of the crazy stuff that he's seen and done and worked on. And he had a thick photo album from the 60s and 70s when they would take trips and testing cars. And one of the things that I was just absolutely blown away by, and I'm still kind of working on the family, maybe I can get access to the pictures. At the very least, I'd love to see GM Historic have these. These are pictures that he took on a test drive from Detroit to California, testing heat and brakes and everything else with about a dozen cars. This was early in 1966. They had, in the pictures that I saw, they had 3 67 Camaros and at least 2 67 Firebirds. A big block, small block, 6-cylinder, disc brake car, manual brake car, drum brakes, all that sort of thing that they were testing early pre-production cars in the desert, and it was really pretty cool. They had a 67 Chevelle, they had various different other vehicles, and they did that multiple times throughout the years with many different cars, including Corvettes and such. He knew Zorro Duntov personally. Interesting story there, which I won't share. And various different other things. He owned 45 Chevelles. 45! He also owned all these other crazy cars that he bought. They were test cars that he was able to just buy from GM. Chevrolet was a lot, it was a lot easier, according to him, to buy some of these test cars. Chevrolet didn't really care. They didn't crush everything that we think that they did. Like this car right here. Okay, that is the first picture for the brochure and poster for the 1980 Corvette. That car is the car he owned. That physical car that's in the picture. It is the only 1980 Corvette that was yellow with tan interior. You could not get tan interior in 1980. In 81 you could. In 80 you could only get black or oyster. But he had that car and his wife drove it for a couple of years. He bought it directly from the employee sales. And and that car was in California. He said it was a Weezer though. It was an automatic with a Smog 305. I mean, ugh. But if you're in California and you have an 80 Corvette, yellow with tan interior, check the VIN on it. It's probably a very, very early VIN, and that's probably this car. And it's, I don't know if it's worth anything or not. Anyway, he was in ill health and he was liquidating some of his cars. He had 2 55 Chevys. He had a 57 Chevy. He had 3 shoebox Fords. I said, Fords? What the heck? He goes, I just love the shoeboxes. And all that stuff has been liquidated. And I bought the Chevelle just because, well, it was too good to pass up. Unfortunately, he passed away recently. So a lot of that history, in fact, I talked to him about and interviewing him for the channel just because, oh my God, he was in the middle of everything muscle car. You know, he knew John DeLorean too. Didn't like him. Go figure. But anyway, so let's get over to the Chevelle. Okay, if you're not familiar with it, here it is. We just had a West Texas dirt storm come through, and it's pretty bad. But I'll get to the plans for the car in just a minute. So let's take a look. The car was actually literally rescued from a junkyard in Midlothian, Texas about 20 years ago. The gentleman that I bought it from, they were going to build an SS clone. This is not an SS. This was one of the ugliest cars ever built. This was a base model, 6-cylinder, 3 on the tree, Harvest Gold, no vinyl top, gold interior, AM radio, and a heater. And that's it. And it's kind of rare for all the wrong reasons. You know, they made, I can't remember the exact number, 70 Chevelles they made, I'll put it here, but they only made like 3,000 of these, that's it. So comparatively speaking, it's rare. Again, for all the wrong reasons. So, the stripes I actually did myself last fall, both the front and the rear. Now here's the interesting part. That trunk. The quarter panels, the rear valence, the rockers, the right front fender, and the hood are all brand new from OPGI. Put on 15 years ago, and then the car sat out in a lean-to. But the patina is pretty cool at this point. So what am I gonna do? You daggum right. I'm not repainting this car. This car is gonna get patina sauce of some sort. That'll be after I do the work I'm about to explain to you. And yes, there is a 6-cylinder under the hood, and it does run or drive. In fact, here's me driving it. Well, folks, they're installed. 1 bolt each. Yeah, they really don't fit, too wide. But I'm actually gonna take this crazy thing to a car show tomorrow. Sunday afternoon drive. Boy, is it loud in here.
Well, y'all, it made it. Made it in one piece. Didn't overheat, didn't break down, and didn't get stopped by cops. First car show, man. Pretty freaking cool.
So, today was successful. It's flattering, really. It doesn't stop very well, but it does drive. So it does have all the SS equipment on it. It's got the grill and the emblems, and that's actually a functional hood. Or no, this is actually an original 1970 SS steering wheel that he was able to get. Originally was a 3 on the tree, of course, and they cut a hole poorly and put it in the floor. And yeah, no, the BMW seats are not staying in it, and I have a different set of seats that will go in it, but it's got the SS door panels and everything in it. And of course, this, like I said, it was gold, so everything's black. But I have, the interior will actually be pretty nice. The floorboards, they're pretty much toast. They've been repaired. I've done some additional repair, and they're solid enough that they'll be usable for what I'm about to explain to you in just a minute here. Okay, if you've been following along, you saw me build this test stand and fire this engine up. This is a 1973 454. It's got some weird numbers on it. Not sure if it was a truck motor, if it came from a Corvette, or it looks like it could have been a factory replacement engine. So, not really sure, it doesn't really matter. So it runs really good. In fact, supposedly had been rebuilt a few years ago. It's definitely got a cam in it. It's super clean inside. I mean, there is no sludge under the valve covers. There's no rust in the water jackets. It's really a clean engine inside. Okay, if you want to see kind of a cool little mini movie that I did on my Instagram page, go to the description and click the link. It was just kind of a fun little thing that I did to celebrate firing up that engine and it working. It didn't make any noise, and you know, didn't throw a rod or any of that fun stuff. So it was kind of cool. So check it out. Okay, so now what are we going to do with the car? Well, what I had planned on doing is doing a one-day build and doing it live on the YouTube channel. But the logistics and trying to get all my buddies together, it's just not going to work. So what I have everything to build the car. I have suspension, all modern suspension. I have brakes, 4-wheel disc brakes. I have everything, all the suspension, all the bolts and nuts and bolts and everything. I have the big block. I have a well, you can't see it over there, but I have a Super T10 transmission. I've got everything. The only thing I'm missing, I think, is the clutch. I also have a 10-bolt 390 rear end out of 69 GTO that's in really good shape, and that'll go in the car too, because I don't want to use the little peg leg for a big block, right? So that'll all go in the car. And if I had everybody together on the one day, and all my friends that all my car buddies, we could probably do it. But just the logistics, getting everybody together, finding a time, using my buddy's shop, it's not going to work. So I have another plan, and that is the week of April 10th. I'm going to build the car that week. I'm going to have everything in advance, ready to go, bolt on, get the suspension done, I'm going to get the brakes done, and I'm going to get the engine and transmission in. Now, hopefully I can get all that done in a week. Again, that's going to be April 10th, so mark your calendars if you care. And what I'm going to do is I'll probably do either some YouTube shorts. I'll have a bunch of stuff on my Instagram page, and then I'll film a lot of it. I don't know that I will have the time to do any live stuff. Maybe a couple here and there, but I'll put it all together and then have it out, and we'll see if I can do it. Okay, so up next is the C4 Corvette, and it's weird. Well, all C4s are a little odd. This one's really weird.